meet up with Michael when I'm out there and make a new friend. Is really the plan. Yeah, so that's kind of what I got going this week. Things I didn't love this week. I handled a few things not great. Got really frustrated on a few things. One doing with work, one doing with kind of a half work relationship, but essentially one of those situations where every so often this person's thing always goes this way, and like I know that that's how it works again, right? And so it's like, fuck, you convinced yourself that it would be different. It's not any different, and it's never like it's not this major flaw. It's not something that like I don't want to hang out with the person, but it's definitely like for me it comes with radio silence. So where like we'll communicate, things are going well, we're touching base, things are good, and then it's just like fucking fall off the face of the earth. And then that will recover with sorry man, blah 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 blah. And then, back to it. Bonnie and I were a little off this week. I don't have a real great explanation for it other than we just were. Not necessarily, way, just we're off. And I was off. Just me mentally all week for whatever reason. Which wasn't the strongest week I've ever had. But yeah, I knew that and explained it pretty early on during the week about what I really expected I had kind of capability wise this week of managing and dealing with my own shit on top of sorting through other stuff. And some I did well, some I did not. Try better this week. What about you guys? How was the marble spent? I'd love to hear some reasons why this was a good one. Anybody got some wins? Heather, you're new to the group. I'm gonna start picking on people. Heather, I know you came in last weekend and got a chance to be part of the group at Sunday service, and then joined 1612 to be part of it. I know you're familiar with Bonnie more, but I would love to hear. I'd love to hear how you kicked ass this week.
Well, joining the group for sure, and just kind of really making a commitment to myself moving forward on, really working on me unapologetically. I feel I'm just kind of at a season in my life where I've had a really good life, really been blessed with a lot of good things, but kind of a conversation Ellie and I were having when I was there is you can always be happier or work towards or settle into kind of not mediocrity or accepting just kind of what is. And I feel, yeah. And I feel like I've been there for a long time because it's safe and it's good and it works and
it's predictable.
Yeah. And so, my trip out there just really gave me a lot of or just solidify, like I can do these things. I can do them alone. I can have fun. I can grow, right? So I'm just there, and this is all part of that journey. So it's just really making a commitment to myself to do that.
I love it. Right? And like, even you saying like the beginning of that, right? Like you can hear pause in the speech of like, I'm going to make a commitment to myself, as if that's a weird, as if there's some other thing that you're making a commitment to that's who gives a shit about. Like if you don't make it to you, the other ones aren't going to hold up. Like
exactly.
There's not a way to be able to say, well, I really owe it to them. If it isn't important to you, it's just not gonna be able to hold the whole time. For what big long-term purpose change driven goals are.
Yeah, I think, for me, it's definitely, I it's kind of been a way of living for me. And as in my family and in my particular culture, it's, I was expected to serve and show up. And I did those things and I did them happily. And I think they definitely served me. My kids are grown, 28, 21, and so yeah, it's me now, me and the dogs, and it's good. And um yeah, so folks are kind of like, you're doing what and you're going where and what's happening. I think they think it's a midlife
Good.
crisis or something,
Well, so
but
fucking what if it is? I wrote about
yeah,
that this
well,
week.
it
You know
works
what?
for me. So
I hate that we have such a negative response to that midlife crisis, to that when people want to change, when people are, that like, oh my God, you're 25 and now you want to do something different at 35. This is some type of midlife crisis. Like, no, motherfucker. It's like, I'm not playing high school football anymore. I'm not doing high school band. I also became an adult. Like, why am I no longer allowed to shift and change and do any of these things and try new things? It's not a crisis. Like, it's an
right,
awareness.
yeah, and intentionally so. And again, wonderful life, just like you said, shifting and unapologetically doing it. So yeah, that is my win. It's kind of been a big thing this week for me. So
Yeah, that's a big one. A lot of people are going to struggle to understand why you would want to change when things aren't bad.
right.
And like, man, I don't want to operate. I hate that term. I fucking hate when people describe stuff as not that bad or could be worse. Like, fuck that. I want as good as it can be.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to do the work for it. I'm not asking you to fucking provide it.
Yeah. And I the mindset shift, and the group, right? It's a matter of really getting connected to folks who see it similarly. um and so yeah, there's a lot happening, a lot of shifts, and I just feel energy, good energy, and just not like I am complacently letting things just be. So I'm happy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, especially now that you're shifting identity away from, kids growing up and being a fucking mom, dude, being a mom, being a provider, and being able to try to find some shift back into how do you take care of you? Like, how do you service you if now that energy isn't going to be spent servicing these two other people that you've created who now are independent enough to do shit without you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it, man. Heather, I really love it. And it's exciting to go into figuring out who you want to be and have the ability that you realize you have the ability to make that whatever you want.
What's crazy to me is driving there. Um, really just kind of affirmed, or gave me affirmation, and I can do things. It was interesting as I drove. Usually I'm driven around by, you know, somebody. And I had this epiphany on how much I have missed because I became complacent in relationships, or, have my face in my phone. And, when you're driving, you got to be present and aware and mindful. And, I drove through some places that I've been through before, and I'm like, I never noticed that. I never noticed that. And so as I went along, first of all, I never drove that far by myself. So I'm like, this is not that bad, right? Like, I was always like, the world's scary, kind of, or just cautiously, going through life. And which sounds crazy, but anyways, so, and
Well,
then
it's the unknown. Like, it's
yeah,
what you don't know, right? Like, so, I mean, it's easy to look at my travel background and like, yo, it's your journey. Like at some point I was nervous about going to a place too.
Yeah. Well, just seeing the things that I have passed before and not even realizing it, it was just like, how much life have I really missed because I haven't been paying attention? Just that autopilot, get it done. This is what we do. So I really just enjoyed being and doing, but it was still really intentional. And so that was great. So that is kind of what my goal is in this and moving forward, is just really being present and intentional. And you think that you are on a day-to-day basis or kind of in general, but you're really not. And so I realized that just recently. So yeah, I'm excited.
That's great. Yeah, I love every piece of that. I mean that mirrors so much what we've talked about in the group in the last 6 months about being present and being aware and slowing down time and what you miss when you're on autopilot. Like, yo, good fucking marble. Heather, those are huge, huge realizations.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah. I saw Josh. You had your hand up.
There we go. Wrong button. Yeah. So this week, I struggle with technology sometimes. Man, there are two big things for me this week. Like one, just I put it out there last week or the week before. I recognized that I had been pulling away and not really investing as much in the relationships here within the group and pouring into it like I was when I first jumped in. And so this week, there's been a big focus for me of just getting back into that and making sure to connect with people. And the conversations I've had this week have been amazing. But the biggest thing for me this week is a light bulb moment midweek of what direction I want my life to go next. I talked a little bit about that, just struggling with coming to terms with the fact that getting my MBA and finishing that, like that's not a magic bullet and everything's just going to fall into place, right? There's still work to be done. And overcoming that hurdle, and then kind of sitting there with my wheels spinning going, okay, but like, what do I actually, like, what was the point? Like, where do I want to go next? Like, what is this? Because what I'm doing now isn't fulfilling, but like just lack of direction. And I finally have a direction that I want to go in that is helping others, kind of combining all the skill sets that I've developed over the last, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years of
Hell yeah.
being quote unquote an adult of like, I can talk to people, I can travel. Yes, checking baggage is for amateurs, Sean. But like talking to people, traveling, helping solve problems, figuring out what actually needs to be done and in what order it would work best. Like combining all of that, I have an idea of how I want to implement that and helping people change their location, change their situation. Oh man, I'm excited. Like it's got me fired up. And I keep coming back to this idea that like anxiety and excitement are really just the same thing.
The same thing.
One of them is seen through a lens of fear. I'm like, no, like there's no anxiety here. Like this is just pure excitement. And every time I really start thinking about it again, this happens. I just start going faster and faster. I'm like, fuck, I'm ready to.
Okay. What do you have as actionable steps? Like what can we do, man?
So I've talked to Elliot to kind of pick his brain on how to go about this, because I have never written a cover letter in my life. I have only ever actually applied for one job ever. All the other ones kind of just happened. And so talking to Elliot, I'm like, okay, so I've identified two potential companies that I want to reach out to. And so scheduling some time with him to put together a cover letter, figure out how to do that best, because he seems to have that expertise.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah. That's absolutely something
pulling
Elliot
that string
brings to the table that I'm so unhelpful.
Yeah. Like again, like sitting down and having an interview and talking to somebody, I can do that, but getting into the door is where I'm struggling.
That's always my fight as well.
Yeah. So that's my first big actionable step this week that I need to take.
Hell yeah. Is just getting some progress going on the cover letters. Cause I mean, like the rest of the dream doesn't happen if we don't get in the room.
Right.
So first thing we got to do is get in the room, and then get into a room that goes well.
Absolutely.
Right. Yo, that's great. Actionable stuff.
It's, like I said, it's exciting. And every time I think about it, I just get amped up again.
What are you hoping for? Do you want to share any more?
Oh, no. So yeah, absolutely. It's really all around corporate relocation and helping people move from one spot to another, either within the same company or moving companies, but to better their situation, right? And a lot of it is stemming from looking at the state of the world and the state of the country, and there are opportunities to help people move from an area of the country or the world to a different part of the country or world that has a better situation for them. And I want to do that. And so I've identified these two companies that really does seem to be, at least on paper and on their website. Yeah, that seems to be their mission. Beyond just like moving people for companies, like they seem to have a bit more of a give a shit mentality to it.
Good.
And they're not just moving people for profit. They're moving people, like they've got more of that humanitarian aspect to it. And so that's really where it's coming down to is I see this need and I feel this call to help others get out of a bad situation.
Right.
So that's where I'm at.
Fucking right on, dude. That's a big calling. That's a big calling to be of service to others in that way, to help people get where they should be, to help people find their fit.
Yeah, no, and this is the first, like I said, it's the first time I've felt like an actual direction.
Cool.
And some type of path forward.
And like, so hearing that, right? Like hearing that thing, and what I would think about like just forward progress is like boil down whatever that calling is to the purest thing that you can. Even if that is like, I just want to help people fit in. Right? Because then you can get a taste of that at your local level. You can get a taste of that working for these companies. You can always get a taste of helping people fit in.
Right.
Right. And it's every time that you do that in any regards, whether that's, bringing new friends to meet new friends. Do you know what I mean? Like that's still sharpening the blade of that. And that should refill that same tank that you doing it professionally for a job should.
Right.
Right. I also understand the fulfillment of wanting to build a thing that really gets to fucking help people. But in the same way, what I'm saying this is like when I boil down what it is that I love to do, I love to create. And as long as I get to do that, we're good. And that can be create relationships, experiences, t-shirts. I don't give a fuck. I want to make stuff. I want to have to figure things out and make it. And that's what started as running an apparel company and a pretty hard line of like, this is what I want to do has branched out, and it's always been good. The better I can just follow that pure awareness and intention of what I'm trying to accomplish. And I think as long as you can set the compass on helping people fit in, you're there.
Yeah. And I think when I boil it down for myself, it's problem solving. Like that same basic desire to just solve problems.
Yep. Hell yeah. Shit, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the week. So, sure everyone's run into this, and speaking from today's experience is, doing a job with managing the spiraling out of control of the fuckets. I can get there really fast. Today was a good example. And this is a long time down the road, so it's easy today to take some reflection and think about how I would have handled this formerly. less aware, less able, or less in control of my bullshit and my emotions, less of any of these things. So like, I knew today I was going to go, I had plans to go on a big bike ride with Charlie and Amber, and had talked about it all week. Excited and set my alarm, got my ass up this morning, got my shit together yesterday that I needed for the bike. Left a few things here and there, like, fuck it, I can stop by Dope and grab my bib. Cool, I'll just stop by there on the way out of town. And then like got here, realized my jersey's still back at the house. So then I have to run back to the house after being here. And then, the van doesn't have any gas. And so like, fuck, sick, another cool thing, I'll have to stop. Got a call from Bonnie. She needed something done. So I ran back and got that sorted for her. Long story short, I got 30 minutes out of town, called Charlie, and I was like, I have a group call at 9 that I just fucking totally spaced on today. Just not aware of what day of the week it was. And so I was like, nope, we're going back. So drive 30 minutes back and get to Dope to start kind of planning out the call. The internet's not working at the gym. And so it's like, sick. So we have this now problem to add to the list. And all the meantime, this is all before 7 a.m. And it's just piled on so fast if it didn't go how I wanted, how I expected today to go, how my plan went. And historically for me, that would be a real easy chance to sit back and say, fuck this, and go to the house and do jack shit. And like, that would be my reclaiming of control, is like, fuck it, I'll do nothing. I can't fuck up doing nothing. But, instead, I took a second, sat, caught my breath, and realized the only thing that's changed is what I hoped was going to happen today, which no one's counting on me for. So like, only my timeline has shifted. So catch my breath, and how do I swing and steal that momentum back? How do we get back? So got on the bike, pedaled for an hour here at the gym, got that in. I'm going to ride a little bit more this afternoon and continue doing that. That's how I get shifted back from where I was at 7:45 a.m., essentially stewing and just wanting to say, burn this fucking thing to the goddamn ground and go home and do nothing. And now we're here in a good mood. This too shall pass. That panic will fucking pass. I wrote something down during the journaling about this morning. One of those really cool benefits that comes from the ADHD is I have hyperfocus. When I'm engaged with a thing that I'm really fucking into, man, I can get locked in and let it have it for a pretty endless amount of time. What I don't have the ability to do is give a shit about something I don't care about. What also comes with that hyperfocus is things like today, when that shit spiral starts. I can real hyperfocus into that too and pour all my energy into that thing and make it way more real than it has to be, and way more engulfing than it has to be. It's easy for me to focus there and realize this is the entire fucking world. And if I like, it's fucking everything's part of it, right? It's that over catastrophizing what's coming from this spiral. And that comes from that focus too. It's the same tool. It's the opposite side of the coin that fucking keeps me focused and kicking ass, is the one that will listen to this and follow it all the way down. The awareness for me is being able to stop and being able to say, just fucking stop this spiral, sit, catch your fucking breath. Like, you have the ability to do that. Catch your breath. I can always stop and breathe. So once I got refocused, it was okay. Where can I focus this back that helps? Because me thinking about this spiral and being frustrated that this was done or blah, 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 or why isn't this, and no one, whatever, that shitty fucking voice that pops up that is never helpful. That dude that lives in scarcity, that part of me that's still frustrated about this, the part of me that still wants all these things should work because I did this. I don't. Don't fuck give a shit. Any of that kind of spiraling speak to anybody. You know, a few things start kind of going in the morning, and next thing you know, like you're just out of rhythm with the universe, and it's like, oh, cool, I managed to also spill my coffee. I managed to fucking do this. I managed to do that. How often with that, how often with that do you let that frustration get out of control and leak onto someone else? JP.
What up?
What up, bro?
Hey, yeah. So one of my big wins from the past 2 weeks has been number one. I can totally relate to that catastrophizing. Like when my plans start to unravel, it's really easy to get hyper focused in my head about, you know, for me, it's like I'll get caught up on like there's a meaning behind it, like that obviously the thing that I was supposed to do isn't intended to happen, and fucking some great spiritual significance to it, and a bunch of bullshit.
Well, you can find whatever you're looking for.
Exactly. And I had a huge win last Wednesday when we were 45 minutes into a trip to go out of town for a week, towing our camper, and our truck caught on fire. And
I'm sorry.
Yes, fucking shit. No big deal. But we just hopped out and unhooked the camper, and like the fire department came, the fire went out, and I very much normally would have been caught up in, clearly we're not supposed to go on this trip, you know. And then, you know, Julie and I were talking about it, and it's like, we fucking own 2 trucks. Why the fuck do we own 2 trucks if we're not going to use them? So we towed the one truck, got somebody to pick us up. Julie picked up the other truck. We hooked it up to the camper and fucking went to Tennessee. And we got about another hour down the road, and even Julie recognized for me, like, shit, that's the first time that shit started unraveling, that you just like, I just took out a chair, put out the awning, grabbed a water, sat and waited for the tow truck guy, like fucking hanging out on the side of the highway at my camper. Only thing that would have made it better would have been a river.
Sure, right? But I mean, yo, if I'm not at the wheel, fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and it's not always a reflection of something you did or didn't do. Shit happens.
No, exactly.
Like, I can't play that line, right? Like I don't think I can go with everything happens for a reason, but I do believe there is some listening to the universe of when, fuck man, there has to be an easier path than this.
Sure.
You know, do I think your truck caught on fire for a reason? I do not. I think it's fucking great.
I'm a piece of shit.
Benefit out of it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's really easy, man. We know plenty of people who would do that. This always happens when I try to do something.
Oh yeah.
Right? You start catastrophizing. You start speaking with all those absolutes, which are fucking dog shit, by the way.
Yeah.
Another use of vocabulary that I try to manage a lot is, you know, how often I catch myself in like, I always, like, no, you don't, asshole. You sometimes, occasionally. But JP, that's huge, man. That is huge. And not only that, like, now you're in Tennessee.
Yeah. Well,
your truck
we're
still
back
caught
now,
on fire
but
yesterday. It's not any different.
yeah. Just, but I will say that I think that that's testament to the work that we've been doing here. And like, to me, that's the consistent benefit of, you know, having the morning routine, regular meditation, journaling. Like my emotional barometer is just ratcheted down to where I'm less likely to just lose my shit like a little kid. And so, you know, one of the things I'm grateful for this group is that encouragement for that. These are all things that I've been doing on and off for a while, but this is the first time like that I've consistently put in that work of like, I mean, I don't even know how many fucking days it's been that I've, you know, every chance that I had when I'm home, it's always hot, always cold, always exercise, always journaling. There's meditation, there's quiet time. And that shit pays dividends over the long haul. It's not like you do it once and you feel better, but you know, the payoff is your truck catches on fire and it's like, go get the other one.
Right. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to figure it out anyway. Whether we go on this camping trip and enjoy ourselves doesn't change any of us having to figure out this truck thing.
Yeah.
Does it need any immediate attention? It does not? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we took it to the mechanic. We're like, let us know what it is. And he's like, oh, some drainage hose put your overflow directly over the transmission, and it's South Carolina. So it's
A million
you know,
degrees.
1,000 fucking degrees and it caught fire, but
Yeah.
everything's good. So I changed your oil. It'll be $70.
That's
It's
it.
like, okay.
Your truck had
Now
a
we're-
fire and now it's okay? That's the
Yeah.
thing I wasn't aware of that's supposed to
Yeah.
happen. Kind of how I felt about helicopter crashes. If you were in a helicopter crash, I assume you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. You don't walk away from that shit.
No, it's not like, oh, that time I was in a helicopter crash. I'm like, fuck did you say? Man, that's fucking great though, dude. That's huge, right? Like what a great conservation of your energy to apply it to something that's more beneficial.
Sure.
And that's the choice, right? Like you chose where you wanted that energy to go. You chose not to give it to that thing.
Yeah.
It's big, dude.
Yeah, I'm very, very grateful for that.
I mean, how much more progress too, that now you're not spending part of today unfucking your unraveling yesterday by apologizing to a bunch of people for being a dick. Also really nice. That's a lot that's a big head start going into Monday that you don't have to undo part of yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Tyler, what is up, dude?
What's up, y'all? So for me, it was an interesting week. Just some background. I every once in a while I house sit for my aunt and uncle, and I have learned over the past, I don't know, I've been doing it for years. I hate it. And I hate it, but I love them dearly, and I have a hard time saying no to them. And so this is the last time that I'm going to be house sitting for them, because every time I do, it's like I want to die. I sleep like shit. I eat like shit. Just like mental and physical health just go down the drain. Like I don't know if you can hear, but I'm super nasally right now. It's because I'm fucking staying here. It happens literally every time, and it bothers the hell out of me. But it also affects like lifting and stuff too. So Wednesday, I didn't really notice that I was kind of off until I went to lift on Wednesday, and I felt like absolute dog shit. Like I felt like trash. It was horrible. And I just kind of like let that bleed into the rest of my day. And like I was pissed. But when I don't like take it out on other people though. I withdraw. So I was like just kind of like inside myself a lot. And then on Wednesday I was on the call, and that actually helped a ton. Kind of like do a little bit of like a mental reset, because some other things had started to spiral. Like I had some client cancellations, and then there was some other stuff going on at work too. And so it just kind of felt like, what the fuck is going on? And then so the call helped a lot. Went home or came back here, and like went to sleep, whatever, woke up on Thursday, and then it was just kind of like back to where I was at. And it was not good. I was super tired. I hadn't eaten a bunch. And so Thursday I was talking to Elliot, and because he checked in on me, and I was like, dude, I'm not doing too hot. Like, I feel like I'm like at the end of the rope, like mentally and physically, like I'm just not having it. And then got done with my sessions in the morning. And I have a pretty big gap on Thursday. So I got some Chick-fil-A because, you know, sometimes you need the Lord's chicken to help you out. And did that, went home, took a nap, and and went to my house and took a nap for like an hour. And my mom took a picture of me, and I looked like I was dead. She was like, I'm pretty sure you might have like died and come back. I don't know. Cause like I was just out. And I woke up and I felt like an actual human being again. And so that was really good. And normally I don't think, 6 months ago or whatever it was, I would have done that. I probably would have just like tried to power through and, you know, keep on doing what I was doing. But I like recognized that I needed that reset, and I feel a lot better now.
Yeah. You know, a couple things on there, man. Yeah, again, that house sitting, right? At what point have you done your service? Like, if you don't want to do it anymore, you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's like, how long have you done it?
Probably for 7 years now.
Yeah.
I do it like a week or two, maybe a year. They
Was
usually kind of spread out.
there
Like,
a point when you were doing it younger that it was exciting because you were staying like at another house and
yeah,
yeah,
I think that's what it was. I used to house
of
sit for
course.
like all my family.
Yeah, it's great. You get to kind of
when
play
they
in
would go on
someone
trips and
else's
stuff.
world for a little bit when no one else is there. It's a lot
Yeah,
of
and
fun
like
pretending this is your
responsibility.
house.
Yeah, and like being on my own and like
yeah.
not having anybody. Yeah.
Once you're
So.
actually on your own, it's not that much fun to play in someone else's world.
No.
You're allowed to
No, it's
say,
not.
"Hey, I don't want to do that anymore."
Yeah, yeah. My sister and I, back when my sister still lived here, her and I would like switch off, and so we would each do it like for a week out of the year when they would go on trips and stuff. But my sister moved, and so for the last 2 years, it's just been me. So it's been good. But when they come back, I'm gonna tell them like,
Yeah, I
hey,
just can't do this anymore.
so it's gonna be a no go for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, if at any point they're weird about it, like they just won't understand, and that's okay.
Yeah.
They eventually will.
Yeah, it helps that I'm moving too. So
yeah,
there's
that
that.
also,
I like physically won't be able
yeah,
to
physically
do
fucking
it.
live too far away now.
I'm
You
not going
ran
to take a
away from
flight
having
to come house sit. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually the real reason that I'm moving, just so I don't have to house sit anymore.
Yeah. And, you know, man, during that spiraling, right? Like one of those other things that I think is really important is, man, it's so easy to get caught when things are heavy. When things are heavy, man, they make such a bigger impact, like in our timeline, in our day, emotionally. Like, fuck, like this last couple hours felt whatever it was, right? Like it's heavier than when things are going well. So when the opposite of that is happening, like, and you find yourself in those moments of like, oh, this is great, things are good, things are going forward, like fucking take notice and take time to celebrate it too, because otherwise it's always easy to feel that you only take notice when shit's bad. So start building the awareness too of when shit's great. Build that awareness up. And that way, whenever things, because it's going to get back to this, you know, there's going to be that day that I fucking step in a mud puddle, tear my jeans, spill coffee on myself, and I'm late for everything. Like it's fucking coming. So I may as well not beat myself into the ground about it because it's going to pass too. And I can do the things that fix it. Shannon, how are you?
Hey, buddy, I'm good. How you doing?
Excellent.
Awesome. So first of all, Josh, I remember the first time you and I ever talked on the phone, and we talked about the direction you wanted to head, and you were just like, I don't fucking know what the next step is. And so to hear you this fired up and this certain of what your next step is really encouraging. And I'm super proud of you for taking those steps and for all that you've poured into this group up to this point. I think really helped propel you forward. So it's been really rad to watch, and I'm super stoked for you. But I knew this week. So going into this week, I had overnight inventory Thursday night, which is never less than 12 hours for me. I know that every time. I've been doing it for 7 years at the store that I'm at, and I'm screwed for the next like 3 days after. So I knew that going into this week. This is the first time I've had inventory where I was like, I need to make a plan. And I said on Sunday, so that I can get ahead of that, I said on Sunday to Elliot and to another friend of mine, like, if I don't keep my shit together, this weekend's going to suck. And I'm going to be, I'm just not going to be good at my job. So along with that, I also had some really tough conversations I had to have with some of my team members this week about some really awkward and really difficult things. We almost had to fire somebody for falsifying a time card. And
Oh, no.
I knew it was all going to be really tough. So, and I anticipated all of these things on Sunday. So I buckled down. I started, and I also, something I've learned about myself in the last couple of years is I operate very highly when I'm living in gratitude. So if I start my day that way, then everything else feels infinitely easier and more manageable. And when the things come at me, I feel much more equipped. So again, I was able to start there. So Sunday, I listened to JP and Hanse's podcast episode, which I listened to probably like 3 times total that day. And then I don't know if anybody else in this group has ever done this, but remember when we were younger and we could only listen to music on the radio and we'd pause it and write down the lyrics?
Oh, yeah. I do that podcasting or listening to audiobooks a lot.
Yeah. So I wrote down, and I sent that episode to several friends of mine that day. And I wrote down the last part of it where JP was talking about if we're not guaranteed anything, he kind of reflected on the entire conversation. And the part that stuck out to me was when he said, I want to be fully present in the moment that I'm in. Because if I'm not guaranteed it, and I already feel like I'm on borrowed time because of look at all this other stuff that's happened that I probably shouldn't be here through, then it allows you to truly appreciate what's right in front of you. So rather than getting caught up in the next, because even this opportunity right here is a wonderful gift. And then when and if another opportunity comes up, it's even better. I reflected on that the entire week, and it changed everything. I mean, all those conversations were much easier. I don't know if I'm getting emotional now, but everything was just much easier. Inventory was actually incredible. I was there for 12 hours, but it was like, I don't know, I was able to really maintain and operate highly because of that. So it was a good week. It was a damn good week.
Yeah, that makes you a better manager. That makes you a better performer at your job. That makes you a better human away from your job. Makes you a better parent. Like,
Yeah.
Of course, that would improve everything.
For sure. Well, yeah, and
I love it.
Yeah, I pick up. So I picked up my daughter Friday morning. So I'd slept for like 3 hours and then went to the gym somehow, and then went and picked her up right afterwards. And I was like wide awake, and we just had a really, we went to the pool and had a really good day. So it was a game changer. It was great.
Hell yeah. I love it. Yeah. That living in gratitude, man. Always seems to dial me back to where I want to be. I am not going to identify with the things that I have been or done in the past, but I am going to be able to look at how much progress I've made to be stoked on it, to look at where I was to where I am now. Bonnie and I talked about it because the pace we move at's dumb. And so it doesn't always leave for a ton of reflection. And so it's just pretty much, it leads for a lot of being present because you're into the next one, which I like. And I don't really know what next month looks like yet. I'm sure someone does, probably her or my calendar. At some point I'll look into it and figure it out. But being able to live in gratitude for how far I've come and holy shit, I would have handled this poorly. Even this morning with my spiraling and kind of getting shitty with myself. And JP, I tell you what, I will fucking absolutely try to jump on board with that. The universe is telling me I probably shouldn't go exercise. Don't think I won't fucking play that card to help myself out. 100% I will. But remember, the universe is indifferent. It doesn't have a want for you to do well. It doesn't want to teach you things. It doesn't want to hurt you. It can't have one without the other. But I do believe there is a flow to it. And if you're listening a little bit to what your intentions are and where you want to be, it seems to be a little bit easier to ride that wave. Yeah. Man, fuck yeah. You know, so with me, that spiraling out of control, right? Like once I got back today, it was very much caught my breath and it was like, okay, what can I do to shift the tide? Like what will make me feel better? My morning routine will. So like, I know that I can do that. No matter what timeline I'm given, I can do those 3 things with intention of some movement, some bit of the hot, and then the cold tub. And I don't care, like, even if hot, like I don't get a chance to do because I don't have time to heat the sauna up or do any of that. I'm still going to at least plunge my head underwater for a full breath hold. And that seems to be a hard reset that kicks me for sure back in the fucking present. Promise while I'm upside down and underwater in there, I'm not thinking about how poorly I managed my schedule this morning. There's other things at foot, like not drowning. So what do you do? So what do you do once you're in that spiral, and how do you stop it? How do you take the awareness to realize, fuck, I'm doing that. I'm spiraling. I'm doing that. This isn't real. I've made this up. I'm letting that momentum build the same way positive momentum builds and runs downhill with you. You know, this avalanche is just different. And I can either be attacked by it, or I can choose to get out of the fucking way for a second, catch my breath, and start over. And so today, that's what I did. I got on the bike and decided I'll figure out these other things and just pedal and get that done. And that way I have chalked up the big win in my column today. That was a non-negotiable. I was going to move. I was going to pedal and do something that's going to benefit the goals that I have coming up. I'm going to take some time to refocus after this morning and share this experience with the group and use this as a way to benefit all of us, because we all deal with it. I am not alone in fucking spiraling out and thinking the world is falling apart before 7 a.m. Nor am I immune to it, nor have I figured out any type of mastery of any of this to eliminate it. What I'm better at is making it stop and getting back going the other direction. Occasionally, I can see those days starting early on, you know, and that's back to that analogy that we use about learning to fall and learning to get that feeling before you fail. You know, that you do it enough, you run through that downward spiral and figure out, fuck, stop, step out of the way and fucking stop and recalibrate and realize the world isn't fucking ending and it's not that big a deal. And that's, again, I really think so much of that comes from that same part of me that's able to hyper focus on a thing. It's the same tool. I just need to be better at. I get to decide where I use it. It's better control over my machine. I get to control what I think about, what my emotions are, and what I'm fixated on. And if I don't think that I can do it by just simply doing it, I have tools to change my mindset and change my presentness. I can do breath work, which I always have access to, no matter where I am. I can do that shit on an airplane. I always have the ability to, I carry headphones around just so I always have the ability to punch out. If I want to put on music and get into my own thing, I can do that. You know, I've got these choices that I can make. So when things are spiraling out for you guys, like what are you using to stop it, to transition out? You not only that, like, what are the voices in your head when that spiral's going? I mean, is that voice is it the one that's telling you that all this is your fault and you're a fuck up and of course this is happening, and leaning into that side of things, that insecurity, that side of your voice that doesn't have worth, that of course this isn't why you're not getting what you're getting, it's all just piles on and comes out in a flood? Or is it a part of you that I could have made some better choices? Like this morning, like I could have maybe paid attention to what day of the week it was and saved me this entire fucking spiral. Or maybe planned to do it at noon. There's a ton of options I could have done that would have been better, that would have eliminated any of the other steps from even being an issue. So, I mean, all those things that went wrong, I can look at where I could have made a better choice the day before that would have eliminated it. And so next time as I go forward, like, we'll do better next time because we know what this led to. Sam.
Yeah, you were kind of starting to hit on it. And I know a lot of this has to do with, or I know that my perspective on this has a lot to do with my shit and my past and my histories, but
Everyone's
like
does.
yeah, I mean, I know that mine's very different. So for me, it's the KISS method. You know, it starts off just flat out, just like it's the awareness to understand, like, okay, I'm spiraling, and then it becomes to me that it's the second step is for me, it's just literally like, what is the next thing that I can do that is a step in the right direction? Like, not how do I fix it? It's what is a step the opposite direction? Because if I'm spiraling, I'm going the wrong direction. So what's a step? Yeah. What is the next thing that I can do right now that is a step in the opposite direction? And then once I can get there and I can get a couple steps there, then I move to the evaluation side that you were just talking about. Like I said, for me, like, you know, a lot of this was built up through the chronic pain issues that I had pre-amputation. So like, I didn't have the brain capacity to do anything more complicated than that, to be honest. A lot of these times, like those spirals and like it's flared up today for no reason. Like it became very much like, how simple can I make it? So like for me, like I said, it was just it's those three things for me. It's identification, what's the next step in the right direction that I can take in the right direction, and then it's evaluate and get better. I wish there was something that was a little more magic bullet-y, more.
There's not.
But the reality is I've learned that doesn't exist.
No, there's none of that works, right? Like it's still just awareness. Like it's
Correct,
just
yeah,
building the awareness of when, like getting better at building the awareness of like, oh, that's what's happening right now. I'm causing that. Let's just step out of that
mhm.
and
then
realize you can.
Yeah, and the underrated side of it is it takes a little bit of balls to take that first step the opposite direction, because you know I work in the fitness industry, and I don't know how many people come into my gym and tell me, oh, I know exactly what I need to do, I just don't do it.
Yep.
Like, why? What the fuck do you mean by that? Like, you know exactly what you need to do, but you're going to choose to not like what?
Right.
Like, to me, to me that answer is way fucking scarier than actually acting on it and acknowledging the emotion.
Yep.
So like, yeah, again, that's kind of what, that's just really, I don't not have the spiral ability. I would say that's probably one of the more universal things for any of us, is we all have that ability to spiral. It's not super individual. But like I said, it's a matter of just finding what's your simplest task list.
Yeah. And look, the biggest one that's going to come is that awareness to be able to say, I'm spiraling.
Yep. Agreed.
Josh, you wrote something. My voice is telling me I'm a martyr. And then JP, you talked about naming your voices, which yeah, I do as well. I don't know that I name them, but yeah, that being a martyr, man, Josh, that's a fucking big one, dude. I think that one's really easy for a lot of people, especially when along the terms of life, you feel like somehow like you're living your life for the greater good of this other thing that's going to really benefit, right? Like the basic idea of the martyr. To me, it's always such a backward path to the feel good. When what I look at is the more that I can stay in gratitude, the more that I can take care of myself, the more that I can be efficient and I can line things up in my day and my life to accomplish my goals that make me happier, that, you know, allow me to impact others because my intentions are set towards something that isn't just me. I get to check all that. That those hard days anymore. I do look at it like you talk about, Nick, where it's more of a test. Like, all right, motherfucker, here's your challenge today. And the path forward, the further down that path you go, there's always going to be bumps. Like there's going to be smooth sections and there's going to be bumps, but there's always going to be bumps. I don't care what the path is. Whether you choose the easy one or you choose what you believe is the easy one, like guess what? It's still fucking hard. It ain't going to work out. It's not going to just be smooth sailing, feet up till retirement. And honestly, look, if that's the life if you're looking for, I don't have a whole lot to offer. It doesn't seem great to me. I don't know that this is the group for you. But I love that Carl the catastrophizer. Man, I think of, I don't have names for it, but it's interesting. Like, yeah, that voice today that spiraled up, like that's one of those that I always have the awareness to be able to be like, oh, there you are. Okay. I realize what we're doing. I realize that's you talking. I'm going to step out here and get shit sorted. Or, you know, hard training stuff. I'll have, you know, that's where the first time I start recognizing that voice is the one that pops up. That's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Be like, well, too fucking bad. So get on board. It's easier if we're all aligned, you know, and a lot of it is trying to convince that voice again of why we're doing it, why this matters, why it's important. But you got to be able to stifle that flame, that piece of you that wants out. And all that is, man, it's just reflections of easier ways. They're like, we could get out here. We did enough, right? Like no one knows the difference. And like, those are all those voices, because at the end of the day, it only has to matter to you. And we're only doing it because these are things I deem important. I'm at the wheel. I make the choice to spiral out of control. I make the choice to not. You know, I make the choice to fix things and spend my week in gratitude so that my weekend of work that usually kicks my ass doesn't. These are choices you've made to set yourself up for an easier tomorrow. This is doing that work. This week, homework. We're going to stay with awareness. Like, be aware when those other voices start popping in this week. And be able to be aware that those voices are not you. They're parts of you, but they're not you entirely. They're also not terribly true all the time. So take some time to also be aware of when those voices lie to you. And if those voices are liars, we stop fucking trusting them. We determine which voice inside of us is the one that drives us where we want to go. So some awareness this week is just that journaling, man, of just taking some time to notice, I have a choice to change that. I have a choice to change the way I feel on this. So that's what I'll leave you guys with. Anybody got anything they want to close on? All right. JP.
I did not mean to do that. My apologies.
Well, everybody, let's do another week. Marble 1176 for me. Let's make it a good one. I got a bunch of riding to get done. I have some work stuff to get done. I'm actually home till like the 11th. What fucking day is that? Holy shit, I'm home for like a week. It's insane. David.
I too, I'm getting the Camelback out. I'm gonna get some walking in today, get some exercise. Man. It's had a little bit of a late start too. As you can see, I joined the call late, and I was like, "Oh fuck the call!" I was thinking to myself, "Oh shit, I was gonna go for a hike today," and
still
my buddy had texted me, and he's on some kind of work call at the moment or something. So everything you were saying, like right in the beginning, was very relatable, and I was like, Well, you still have the ability to go for a hike, right? You can go do all these things, just because so-and-so can't do that. And it's, okay. Control's still back in my hands. So it's
right. Also,
it's up to me to go get that movement in. It's up to me to go get that adventure in today. So
put in a podcast, learn something while you do it.
So, I was like, oh man, that's hitting the nail on the head. I was like, I gotta go get my work in too. So, good shit.
Dave, I appreciate it. I love all you guys. Make this week count. The opportunities this week, push it. Find those spots where you start getting uncomfortable and see if you can take another step toward it. So, love you guys. Great week ahead. Buddy, always good to see you in Iceland. Everybody have a great day.